Hello everyone and welcome back to this humble abode of gameplay and memes. Today we return once again to Supreme Commander, Forged Alliance Forever with another replay cast. This time it's not going to be our usual custom lobby, no. This time it's going to be a 4 vs 4 team matchmaking game. Yeah, haven't had these in a hot minute, have we? Well, now, here's one for you, picked special for you out of dozens of games that I browsed through before I settled on this one. And yes, it's going to be a 4v4 team matchmaking. As you can see, the rankings are relatively low, at least compared to what we usually see in our custom lobbies, but keep in mind, this is the team matchmaking. People don't play it as often, and most importantly, you know, they have to work up from zero. Even if they had, let's say, 1700 normal rank points or global or lobby, whatever you want to call them, in team matchmaking they will have to build those up from scratch, from zero. So don't judge them too hard. They might actually be much higher ranked, and I guess their plays will indict them. Their plays will condemn them, or, you know, serve as a basis for praising them. Anyway, getting sidetracked here real hard. So this map is called Salembay. Yes, for some reason the creator of the map was so lazy as to not split the two words and not even capitalize the first letter, so that's pretty cool, I guess. It's a 10x10 map, so for a 4 vs 4 match it's going to get a little claustrophobic, but I'm pretty sure it's, at the very least, is going to be lots and lots of action this way. The map has got a moderate amount of reclaim on it, 22,000 to be exact, most of it present in the middle, as you can see right here, 7,000 on this little square, on this little screen. This is going to be a few remains of a few Cybran structures. I think these are like civilian structures that don't do anything for gameplay, but you know, they just look cool. And they provide some reclaim once they are destroyed. And in the middle, of course, the titular Salem, Cybran Salem class destroyer is sitting there after having been apparently nuked by something, which I'm not entirely sure how a Salem destroyer is supposed to survive a nuke. Even its wreckage should be destroyed, but oh well, you know, small details, who cares about these, right? Anyway, let's go ahead and start introducing a bay position. We've got ourselves Troll Dash at roughly 1000 rank points, playing Seraphim in Color Confusion Cyan, going first land. Further to the north, closest to the middle causeway, I dare say, is going to be knabberwasser at also roughly 1000 rank points, playing Aeon in Thalassophobia Blue, going first land. Further still towards the north in the northern bay, it's going to be Theodor 1746 at roughly 700 rank points, playing Cybran in Shrinking Violet, going first air, interestingly enough. So already some unusual plays happening. Actually, never mind my ramblings, I forgot, or I mistook the air factory of the Seraphim for land factory, so already starting off really well, starting this cast really well, aren't we? Also, first air for Troll as well. And last but not least, for Team 1, it's going to be Adamis, or something along those lines, at 1200 rank points, so the highest rated player, well, the second highest rated player in the game, playing UEF in Blues Blue, going first land. Moving on to Team 2, in the yellow corner, starting from the north on the northern bay position, is going to be EchoChamber. I am definitely adding in an echo effect in post-production for this name, for obvious reasons. Is going to be, yes, at 900 rank points, playing Aeon in Fresh and Fragrant Orange, going first land. Further towards the south, near the middle, no, closest to the middle causeway, is going to be Dalamaster at somewhere in the middle between 600 and 700 rank points, playing UEF in Cornate Red. On the southern bay position is going to be Ronfante, the fancy sounding name of the day here, at 1100 rank points, or in the middle between 11 and 12, you could say, playing Aeon once again in Life Given Yellow, going first land. So first land for every single player of Team 2, it seems like, while on Team 1 we've already got 2 players going first here. I wonder how that's going to impact the game in the long run, or indeed in the short run. And once again, the highest rated player of this team and of this particular match also is going to be playing in the rearguard air position, is going to be KillerGruetze. I think that's how you're supposed to pronounce that in German. Is going to be playing Seraphim at 1200 rank points in Road Rage Red, going first land. Now, some notes on the team matchmaking. You know, in order to find those team matchmaking games, normally the way I look for replays is I input a particular map name or a particular amount of rank points that I desire to see. You know how many of the lobbies that exist in this game on FAF are named after the lowest rank that you know that you can enter, that you can have in order to enter that lobby. But in this instance, in order to find those team matchmaking games, you have to put either player names in, or alternatively, you can put the lobby name as versus, like you type VS in the lobby, like this, and then the result will be mostly, or not in the lobby, sorry, you type VS in the replay search, and most of the search results are going to be those games, those types of games, matchmaking games, be it solo or 2v2 or 4v4, all of them can be found there. Also, I think as a side note, this game is being played as full share, from what I remember. Anyway, let's speed up the game slightly, see what our players are going to be up to. So it looks like they've already got their hydrocarbon power plants, obviously. The commanders are now advancing towards the middle, towards the juiciest bits of reclaim. There's also plenty of trees on the map to reclaim, of course. So the players, I think the players are already working on that. Yeah, see, the engineers are, from this factory, for example, are ordered to attack move immediately once they emerge, so they can immediately start reclaiming. Yep, there you go. Immediately start reclaiming trees, but in the meantime, the first commanders to get to the middle are from Team 1. Already knabberwasser is occupying a advantageous position, which will allow him to reclaim not just the Salem, but also some smaller wreckages around it as well. Troll has arrived and is also helping him reclaim the Salem as fast as possible. EchoChamber is also running in for the Salem. So is Adamis, but he won't arrive on time. Or in time, I should say, because the Salem has already disappeared. Yes, we are having some serious commander engagements. KillerGruetze is also here, and I think another one is on the way. Yes, indeed, Dalamaster and Ronfante are all coming in. Troll is pushing quite aggressively, though. Together with knabberwasser, they are trying to force the enemy team off of their, you know, sort of natural reclaim. Light assault bots coming in order to waste those precious commander shots, but I don't think these guys are overcharging, so they won't waste that much, even if they do get distracted for a moment. However, Troll is getting seriously focused already losing half of his health, already putting down factories in order to try and escape. knabberwasser and Adamis, of course, are in the area trying their best to help. In the meantime, KillerGruetze is the first one to get hyper-focused by Team 1, and it looks like this engagement might not end too well for Troll, who is already below 1000 health. 500, 300, 200, 100, and he blows up and takes KillerGruetze with him. There you go. Our first 2 ejections of the game, KillerGruetze and Troll, both perish at the same time, as the chain reaction of the comm explosions causes everybody to momentarily stagger, as most of the commanders that were present on the field are reduced below 5000 health. You can see, yes indeed, you can see EchoChamber at 3000, Ronfante at 4700. Well, Adamis is like barely above 5,000, but he's retreated, and so has knabberwasser, who's actually has been reduced into the red, and is being harassed by the incoming Aurora tanks from EchoChamber, but it looks like he's good for now. And yes, indeed, those Auroras that are running straight into his commander are just going to be some nice experience points for him. In the meantime, in the air, we've got ourselves, yes, we do have construction going on off the naval factories, obviously. In both ponds, it looks like, yes indeed, the players who are ostensibly closest to the base are the first ones to construct the naval factories on both sides of the field. You can see the Seraphim naval factory for Adamis still not completed in the south. Meanwhile, in the north, it looks like EchoChamber hasn't even started construction of his own naval factories, which is a little bit weird, but okay, sure. Maybe he isn't planning to go too hard on Navy, and to be fair, he does have those Aurora tanks. I feel like if he had sent a few of those Aurora tanks immediately at the beginning of the game, he could have probably even shut down the naval factory of Theodore. But, you know, this hasn't happened, so we don't really have any data on that. Meanwhile, it looks like, yeah, there's a second naval factory already being finished for Ronfante, and no further factories planned for Adamis, but it looks like, yeah, it looks like he's just going to be casually constructing some submarines in order to hopefully defend from the incoming frigates. Yeah, so you can see at this point there are so many engineers here, and even the submarines can shoot, have some surface cannons to stop these Auroras that I don't think they'll do anything. Also, yeah, also a frigate being constructed by the factory, because of course these Auroras won't accomplish anything anymore. Meanwhile, there are clashes in the middle between knabberwasser and Dalamaster, of course. It looks like the bases of the deceased players, yeah, you can see Troll's base has been transferred to Adamis, while KillerGruetze's base has been transferred to Ronfante. So I guess the highest rated players on both teams got the newly released allied bases, yes. Gun range being attempted by knabberwasser. Meanwhile, on the opposite side of the map, it doesn't look like... Okay, never mind. Ronfante is actually going for gun speed after having completed T2. Interesting choice. So he's trying to do two things at once here. He wants to pick off those enemies from afar, while at the same time constructing a whole bunch of turrets in the enemy's face. While, you know, after he's gotten some space between him and the enemies, of course. Meanwhile, a squadron of a frigate and a few submarines is headed for the naval factory of EchoChamber. That could prove to be really disastrous for EchoChamber. They are constructing a frigate, but this frigate will be completely helpless against the submarines. And meanwhile, the frigate will destroy all the engineers and ensure that they can't possibly target or construct any additional torpedo launchers. Yeah, there you go. Oh, it's actually not a frigate for EchoChamber, it's actually a submarine, but yeah, there are no more engineers in the area, so nobody can build the torpedo launcher anymore, and now I feel like this factory will just get shut down with no gain. It looks like in the meantime, knabberwasser is attempting a counter push against EchoChamber. At this point, EchoChamber is just, he's constructing a whole bunch of blaze tanks actually, so that could be quite dangerous if he pushes too deep and, you know, all of his tanks get cleared by the defending forces. Then EchoChamber could counterattack with a massive amount of blaze tanks. That won't look very pretty, because it doesn't seem like, yeah, for now it doesn't seem like there are any T2 land factories for knabberwasser. It looks like he's just now started, well, not started, halfway done with an upgrade to take 2 headquarters, but that's quite a ways away. In the meantime, yes, like I said, the orange factory here out of EchoChamber has been shut down. In the meantime, though, it looks like there is more of a stalemate between Adamis and Ronfante in the bottom pond, as Ronfante is attempting to siege this one factory and destroy it, but there are already plenty of both T1 artillery, the nasty floaty naughty T1 Seraphim artillery, and subs, and together they will have absolutely no problem chasing away those frigates or sinking them if the frigates aren't too careful. There are now some submarines being produced by Ronfante, but I feel like they aren't being produced at a fast enough pace, because there are already more submarines for Adamis, and yes, indeed, it looks like this one yellow submarine, by the way, won't change anything as it gets sunk together with all the beetles on board. What a tragedy indeed. It looks like, yes, the plateaus in the corners, which are inaccessible by land or sea, by the way, you can only use air transport to drop your engineers there. It looks like the plateaus in the corners have been occupied by Team 1. In the meantime, the plateaus formerly belonging to KillerGruetze here in the southeastern corner are not being occupied at all, which is a bit of a flaw in the plan of Team 2, I dare say. But I'm sure they will figure that out eventually. Also, it looks like there is a counter push now started for Ronfante, who's finally figured out how to produce more submarines than the enemies are, while you've got more factories than the enemy does. So, mad props for that, I suppose. Tech 2 on the way for Adamis. In the meantime, in the middle, we've still got more... Oh, it looks like knabberwasser has seriously suffered some serious injuries. He's only rank 1 vet, which means he can heal aplenty, but he has been forced underwater by the pressing blaze tanks. As I expected, those blaze tanks proved to be a serious problem for him. Alright, attack bombers flying every which way, trying to destroy some ground forces and failing miserably because there is plenty of air defense everywhere. Tons of interceptors for either team. Most importantly, huge air force for Adamis, as you would expect for the air player. In the meantime though, since Ronfante wasn't quite the air player, he isn't really doing anything at all with those Seraphim factories that he got left over from KillerGruetze. So that's, I dare say that's a little bit of a mistake. He's sending a whole bunch of engineers who are patrolling? Huh? Looks like they're patrolling nothing. Well, at least upgrade those mass extractors or something. I don't know, does he even have a mass shortage? Oh no, he has absolutely no shortage to speak of, but upgrading them would still pay, I'd say. EchoChamber is being pressured by the commander of knabberwasser. This is kind of a bummer because, you know, EchoChamber has no upgrades, while knabberwasser does have that gun range upgrade. I think it's gun range, right? Oh, whoa, but he might have miscalculated as he is reduced and explodes in the face of EchoChamber. Yep. Now that's what Oblivion turrets do to you, my dude. They just, you just run into them and you die. Especially when you've got only 3,000 health left over. A big push attempted for knabberwasser in the middle, but since he's dead, both his tanks stopped as they were being transferred and they got completely obliterated by the superior forces of Ronfante, who's still building more and more tactical missile defense, defense turrets, shields, artillery pieces, pretty much everything you can think of. Using that T2 to, putting that T2 to good use, as he will now reclaim all of this delicious wreckage left behind by this erratic push of formerly knabberwasser, but now Adamis, obviously. The T1 factory for Adamis has finally been destroyed. There is now no more naval presence of Team 1 in the bottom pond. Well, unfortunate, but I feel like they can deal, as Adamis is now forced to micro 3 separate bases instead of merely 1. It's a bit of a bummer to say the least. Okay, another attempt by, who's this, Dalamaster? Yeah, another attempt by Dalamaster to try and penetrate the defenses of, or destroy the ground forces of Adamis, which is doomed to fail for the same exact reason, because plenty of air defense. EchoChamber was in some serious danger a few moments ago, as Theodore has now got T2 air and was sending some gunships EchoChamber's way, right? And now he is also being pressured from the sea as the Salem class destroyers, the eponymous Salem class destroyers of this map, are now walking on land as you'd expect them to do. Sprouting legs, walking on land, and now starting work on the enemy base. This is the main base of EchoChamber, so he should be relatively careful here. He's attempting to construct T2 artillery installations with basically the entirety of his master reserve. I'm pretty sure, yes indeed, he's got no more in the storage. So yes, this is basically his entire master reserve is being thrown into. All of his build power is all being thrown into those Tech 2 artillery installations. There is only one Salem for now, and I think 1 T2 artillery can deal very well with 1 Salem. It's just barely outside of the firing range, so it should it's shooting in the wrong direction. It's only now turning. Now that was a bit of an error, but no, well, those happen sometimes. Sometimes those things just happen, and I think at this point, oh, actually no, I was gonna say the Salem is now getting closer, but it really isn't. It's now, whoa, yep, we got hit by the artillery as well, and it's about to go down. Bow. Oh, wow. What? God damn it. Okay, that was a mistake on my part, but I would like to know... Wrong button. But I would like to notify you that, you know, when it died, it made a sound similar to a monkey lord, just a lot more subdued. So that's a pretty fun fact if you didn't know. When Salem class destroyers get destroyed, at least on land, they make a similar sound to the monkey lord. I guess that would make sense because they're both Cybran and both have 6 legs. But yeah, a little bit of a fun trivia for you. In the meantime, a counter push is being attempted, like we've described before, by EchoChamber, but there are mostly T1 tanks here. There are some T2 flak anti-air defense for the purpose of shooting down the opposing gunships, but yeah, not enough blaze tanks to attempt such a push. And there are now blaze tanks on the opposing side, as well as probably some obsidian tanks at this point. So I feel like this push is doomed once again, more mass donation. But look at this huge amount of T1 units being produced by Ronfante. It looks like Ronfante is mostly just... yeah, he's just producing a whole host of T1 units with a whole bunch of factories. Oh, this was a bit of a mishap by Adamis, as he's flying most of his air force over the enemy bases with tons of anti-air turrets everywhere. Ow. That is quite painful to watch indeed, but you know what might come of this is that Adamis might be able to successfully push and destroy these factories, because what's mostly protecting them is just thistles. T1 anti-air guns, which are completely useless against tanks, but no, he decides to not attack. Alright, well, I guess if you don't attack, you're the one who's gonna get attacked. And you're witnessing exactly that, as Ronfante is attempting to push against a weaker spot in Adamis' base. Of course, all the T1 forces are being forcefully and quickly withdrawn from the front line as they are attempting to patch up the hole. But I feel like a few mass extractors might take the fall here and get destroyed in the process. These are T2 mass extractors, these are no small fry, you really don't want to lose these, but I feel like that's exactly going to happen. Of course, you know, the push is a little bit poorly coordinated, as Dalamaster is sending his forces directly into a heavily fortified position of Adamis, but on the opposite side, you've got Adamis' commander coming out to fight the enemy tanks directly. Now, he doesn't have a gun, he only has T2, which isn't very effective at fighting, you know, opposing tanks and whatnot, but it looks like everything is good because the blaze tanks from Adamis himself, or obsidian tanks even, have arrived and are now successfully cleaning up all the auroras, so nothing else will come off of that. It looks like some of the tanks that were being sent by EchoChamber have in fact reached the main base of Theodore, but they've accomplished precisely nothing because those were just flak turrets that survived, and now Theodore has got himself T3 air, and he's already producing T3 gunships, so he might attempt to snipe somebody. Using those gunships, we'll definitely have to pay attention to that. And most importantly, the air player Adamis is still in the game for Team 1, so he's already producing multiple T3 air factories and is already building up an air force. Is anything remotely similar to that happening for Team 2? Well, let's see. On the front line, well, obviously on the front line there won't be any T2 or T3 air factories, that would be nonsensical. EchoChamber has got himself T3 land, but no high-tech air to speak of. No air to speak of, I would say. No air at all. In the meantime, yes, the T3 air factory has been completed by Ronfante, but now he's just sitting with it doing nothing. It's not even producing engineers or anything like that, so gotta get on that. He is producing some swift winds. Well, it looks like, yes indeed, there are some swift winds now being put out, but swift winds are no match for T3 fighters, and well, let's just say you really gotta hurry it up with that one. Yeah, that one right here. Look at how beautiful it is with its weird anti-gravity buildy bits. It's really quite a spectacle. A T2 and T3 land push base being once again attempted by EchoChamber. You know, instead of defending himself against 4 Salem class destroyers, which are now obliterating his T3 land factory, he's just sending them straight in, straight into the enemy's base, in the hopes of, I guess, trading bases, you know, favorably. Like, if he destroys more stuff than the enemy destroys of his, then it will be worth it, as the Harbingers are already reaching into the main base of Adamis, but I feel like they will be stopped by these gunships yeah, he's already got some broadswords, and you know, one or two mobile flak cannons are not enough to stop broadswords. Well, his factories are being pressured. It's only land factories for now, but very soon, if they get a little bit closer and if there are still some harbingers left alive, that won't look too pretty for our good friend Adamis here. It looks like the harbingers have run out though, and there are also T3 gunships, not just from Adamis but from Theodore as well, so definitely air superiority for the moment being held by Team 1. The Salems are continuing their forceful push against the enemy's main base, and they've already destroyed, well yeah, we've seen them destroy the T3 headquarters. Now the regular T3 factory is doing nothing. For some reason the commander of EchoChamber is standing in the middle of nowhere trying to get himself T2. I thought he had T2 already. I guess he only had gun. Once again, a massive swarm of Tech 1 units is pushing from Ronfante towards the west, trying to completely dismantle the former base of Troll. It seems like he is succeeding for now, as there are no attack aircraft in the area and barely any land units, so oh well, there we go. There are some gunships and there are no flak cannons defending this ground force, so the gunships should have a field day with it. There's of course tons of T1 anti-air turrets, but you know, or mobile anti-air cannons I should say, but they will run out eventually. And then the gunships should have free raid. I probably would have sent some broadswords here because, you know, all this is just basically free experience for the broadswords, but I guess he might be keeping them back in order to not just lose them stupidly. Never mind. Oh, well, EchoChamber of course getting his comeuppance for standing in the middle of nowhere trying to construct T2, as there are 5 Salem destroyers advancing against him. That was pretty much to be expected. Interestingly, yeah, oh yeah, he did send some broadswords, but I guess the broadswords ultimately also got shot down, as there were so many tier 1 units that, oh, and Adamis calls GG control Ks and quits the game in the face of 2 harbingers. Well, alright, whatever you say. Oh yes, and also of course Dalamaster himself is helping here, helping Ronfante run over this western position. It's already pretty much gone. You can stop looking at that now. It's just the one noteworthy thing is that Dalamaster is using some monkeys here. For some reason though, Dalamaster's commander is walking out front and into a whole bunch of T2 Oblivion cannons for Theodore, which is, I'm not entirely sure why he'd do that, but I guess might have been a misclick. The Salems are still advancing. This is a very interesting force composition, I dare say, for Salem destroyers walking on land, being accompanied by whaler gunships, as if you needed any more good, you know, ground targeting firepower. But also, of course, some T3 fighters also from... Hello? Can I... Okay. Also from Ronfante as well. His T3 air factory might be heavily threatened for the moment. In a moment, I mean, you really should build up more fighters and like clear those enemy fighters, and then probably use some attack aircraft to destroy those Salems before they reach you. Yeah, T2 gunships are not the T2 gunships are not the play here. Not only will they get completely shredded by the fighters, they can also be targeted by the main cannons of the whalers. So no, that's not going to work at all. Have to come up with something else. It should be noted though that the massive T1 push strategy for Ronfante is still proving quite effective, as he's almost reached the main base of, not the main base, sorry, the former main base of Adamis, where there are 2 idle T3 air factories. You really should start producing something out of these. It looks like he is making broadswords for the moment. It also looks like he's overflowing mass like crazy, 26,000 or 22,000 in the bank. And still a plus on that balance. He's telling somebody to stop pinging. Of course, you know, everybody starts calling Adamis names after he quits, so, you know, what else is new? But, wow, that is a serious problem now. You really gotta step up the production of these gunships. Where is it? Okay, well, there was one... Yeah, there was one broadsword a few moments ago, but I guess it got destroyed. Right, yeah, there is now another broadsword being built in its place. Doesn't look too good for this base. Nope. Generator is about to blow up. There is still one Harbinger around. Right, yeah, the Harbinger can totally do some serious damage to the power grid. It will destroy all the T1 tanks in the process. Look at how fast the HP of that broadsword is dropping, my lord. Yeah, the sword is mostly T1 anti-air guns at this point, so yeah, the broadsword, one broadsword might have some serious problems clearing them. Troll is calling this guy noob. Well, that does not help, my dude. Please never do that, like when you're actually playing the game. Don't do that, that literally doesn't help anybody do anything. And yes, the Salems have in fact destroyed the T3 Air Factory headquarters, formerly belonging to KillerGruetze, so not very well played by Ronfante in this instance, but also not very well played by me, as I completely missed that. I guess we gotta watch them destroy the remains of this base now. There is still a T3 power generator, which I'm sure Ronfante would like to hold on to.
Bruh.
Well, he doesn't have, yeah, his power situation isn't too bad. All of the factories, all of the T3 factories have been destroyed by this T1 force, accompanied by one Harbinger, a 5-star veteran Harbinger, I might add. 7,200 mass destroyed. Absolutely unstoppable Harbinger right there. It's less like a Harbinger, more like a Horseman of the Apocalypse at this point. Alright, yeah, he's still trying to stop the enemy gunships with Swift Winds, but the problem is Cybran T3 gunships actually have pretty good anti-air, and you can see those Swift Winds are not up to the challenge at all. Okay, now the gunships are being sent to clear another wave of spam from Ronfante. It looks like Ronfante's game plan is just to spam as much T1 as possible. And interesting enough, it's working so far. So I guess T1 for the win is the moral of the story for this game. Yes indeed, except of course, if there is a critical mass of T3 gunships that has been reached, you can no longer stop them with T1 anti-air. That's the only downside. The only thing holding them back right now is that. It looks like the T2 land headquarters B is being threatened for Dalamaster, as the gunships are slowly but surely approaching this position. No flak turrets are being constructed anywhere nearby, so I guess this base will be lost, and Dalamaster will be just stuck with a couple defensive turrets. Not a couple, he's building them up like crazy. They aren't even doing anything anymore. He's still building them nonetheless. Alright, sure, whatever you say. Yes, his main base has been basically lost. Oh, most notably, a couple of mass extractors almost upgraded to T3 will now be lost forever. All the mass being completely wasted. They haven't even spent a single second of existence as T3, even though all of the mass was invested. That's lots and lots of Oblivion turrets being built up, but you know, this way you can directly see the problem that the Oblivion turrets have in comparison to other factions. It's that they absolutely cannot fight back against massive waves of T1 spam. Like, if those were Cerberus turrets, there would be no more units coming in right now, because they would have all of them would have been destroyed. But since these are Oblivion turrets, well, here you go. They get completely overrun, and some of the enemies even managed to retreat. Not sure why, but they did. And there are no sniper bots on the way for Ronfante, so I guess slowly but surely he might be transitioning to T3 land. Not sure. His headquarters are in the middle of the map though. That's not a very safe position, especially with so many Salem destroyers already approaching. Theodore is currently in possession of 7 of these destroyers, and all of them are headed for the middle, where the commander of Dalamaster is situated, so he should be extremely careful with that. Although it looks like the land push never stops. You know, it cleared basically 3 enemy bases, but now it's also approaching the final enemy base in order to, you know, completely clear the enemy side of the map of any presence whatsoever. The only thing left over are T3 mass extractors, which are on the cliff far away. You know, the only reason they still exist is because T1 land can't reach them. That's why. Would have been gone long ago, because the madness of this T1 land push just continues ever onward. In the meantime, those Salems are being presented by the opposing side together with the gunships to deal with the spam problem. It looks like they are dealing with it just fine for now. Mostly, I suppose, because there is no more spam coming out, or, you know, insufficient quantities. And yes, indeed, now the T3 land headquarters are threatened, and I don't think there is too much Ronfante can do right now about it, because yeah, he's not even producing T3 here. He's only he's only now putting out his first T3 fighters. I'm sure at this point Theodore has plenty of his own, or not. Okay, let me look at Theodore real quick. So if I press Control F, no, Theodore for some reason has got only 4 fighters. Might be a bit of a mishap, because yeah, you will need those fighters to, you know, combat the opposing fighters. Might as well have built them in advance before the enemy can, but oh well. The T1 factories are finally being destroyed, so no more mad T1 pushes out from Ronfante, as he has to focus on his own base, developing that, you know, trying his best to produce T3 air and perhaps T3 land. Really unfortunate about his headquarters. I hope he's already building another headquarters, because that would definitely solve the problem, but no. What he's building instead is a Galactic Colossus experimental assault, but it's already 69% done, perfect number, nice. The land push will probably be stopped at this point, as there is plenty of broadswords in the area, as well as a whole host of T2 gunships which are not being sent for some reason. Okay, well, I guess that just happens. Also, they are going in the direction where there is literally nothing there, so I guess they're just trying to retreat as far as possible from the enemy's base in an unexpected direction where they will be harder to reclaim. Makes sense, sort of. In terms of reclaim, by the way, 133,000 reclaim on the map in total. None of the former main bases have been reclaimed. You can see the T3 headquarters remains are still there, still smoldering even. But yes, it looks like this middle position of Team 2 is going to be completely gone in just a second, as there is a whole bunch of gunships flying in. However, there is so much flak in the area that they get destroyed, basically destroyed instantly. Wow. What is this? 5 flak turrets? Yeah, that is that'll put a stop to any amount of T2 gunships. Basically, you can bring like 100 of them; they will still get shut down in 3 seconds. So not a very worthwhile investment, I'd say. If you're building those, at least make sure you're not sending them into large amounts of enemy flak turrets. T3 gunship, yes, the T3 headquarters have been destroyed. The T3 gunships are flying around cleaning this up. It looks like finally some T2 tanks coming out of Theodore. Well, they were always there, I suppose, but right now they are finally attacking. Of course, they don't accomplish anything because there is like a massive batch of turrets here. But they tried. I guess it's the thought that counts. It's not like they've added too much to this massive reclaim field that this map is turning into. Already 146,000. Speaking of mass though, it looks like, yeah, mass incomes are, as expected, extremely low, considering most of the bases on the map have been wiped out. Look at this. Look at how clean this map appears, as long as you don't press the reclaim button. Yeah, 3 bases on each side have been destroyed, now only 2 remain. And with that, the players are reduced at, barely above 100 mass per second. The Galactic Colossus, of course, walking in, tanking all of the shots from the Whaler gunships. It's not like they can do anything. However, it did accomplish a very important task of destroying the enemy Salem destroyers. Yep, there you go. Oh, one of the gunships landed and immediately got fried. Yeah, you don't want to do that. Well, the Colossus is walking towards the positions of Dalamaster, who is still attempting to construct, well, for some reason he's constructing T1 factories in order to protect himself from destroyers. I'm not entirely sure what that's supposed to do, but okay, you do you. He's also got no radar, so this one T1 artillery piece can potentially destroy all of his turrets because they can't see it. Look at this. Yep, he still can't see it. Oh, there he goes. And then it just got erased from existence, not even a wreckage remaining. Wow. Yeah, so the Colossus will just be standing here, taking the shots while the gunships get destroyed by the flak cannons. I wonder if they can take a few cannons with them, because, you know, these are T3 gunships and not T2, so they can actually withstand a few shots. Well, if they keep focusing the GC, that won't do anything, though. A radar finally being constructed, so at least now the ground turrets can do something. The Salem is of course too far away for any of that to happen, but the Colossus is now walking towards it, so let's see a spectacular destruction of the Salem. And here we go. Of course, you know, a Salem being a naval unit cannot be pulled by the GC, But instead, it can just get fried like this, and there's very little the Salem can do because it's much slower than the GC. Looks like Ronfante was attempting to send his fighters against the gunships of the enemy, but there are too few fighters, and yep, yeah, there you go. Not a problem at all for Theodore, even though he is still refusing to make new fighters. He's just making gunships, especially weird, he's still making T2 gunships for some reason. But you know, he still has air superiority for the moment, as, oh no, Dalamaster is now completely rid of the flak, of any flak cannons in the area, so now he will just get shot to pieces by the gunships, as even the Galactic Colossus realizes it's a lost cause and walks away. Oh, what is that? Oh, it's another group of gunships. Yeah, I feel like with that group of gunships in the area, that's, yep, that's curtains for our old pal Dalamaster, and there you go. At least on the plus side, some of Theodore's fighters fell down together with the commander, so I guess that's something. But yeah, probably not good enough. Oh, yep, another Galactic Colossus has been finished by Ronfante. Does he still have his... Does he have a T3 or T2 land factory? It does not feel like it. Nope. Sure as hell don't. He's just... Yeah, I guess his only land units are going to be GCs in this, for the remainder of this game, because he's not even attempting to upgrade any land factories to T2 or T3. Interestingly enough, in terms of total mass accrued, we can see that, yeah, a total of 251,000 for Ronfante and a total of 209,000 for Theodore. So yes, they have been left basically alone to face each other. It's now a duel of not the highest rated players in the game. Yeah, so the Salem does have its own radar, even though it's not as good as the, you know, as a radar, let's say, on a cruiser. The Salem still has one, and it can still destroy T2 ground turrets from afar, where they can't actually target it. Not that they probably didn't even see that. Yeah, well, they can see the Salems, because I guess now, at this point, yeah, there you go. At this point, of course, Ronfante has his own omnisensor array, so he sees everything. Does Theodore have his own omnisensor? Let's see. Nope, it's still T2. Yeah, at this point you definitely need to have an omnisensor. I mean, of course, you know, he isn't Cybran, so he doesn't have to worry too much about stealthy enemies. Oh, sorry, I mean, Ronfante isn't Cybran, so he does, so Theodore doesn't consequently have to worry about stealthy enemies, but still, at this point in the game, you definitely need an omnisensor array. There's no two ways about it. EchoChamber is telling Ronfante to go to the water, and is saying that T2 artillery will kill them. Who? Does he mean the T2 artillery will kill the Salems? Well, I guess that is true, but look where the Salems are and look where the T2 artillery is. That is, they will definitely at the very least destroy this one power generator before they go. He's also power stalling apparently. Yep, he is power stalling quite heavily. Well, yeah. I guess that's what happens when you're building a GC and a power generator at the same time. Gotta prioritize, my dude. Even though I'm guessing, yeah, most of the resources right now are going into the generator, so in a moment he should be good. And yes, KillerGruetze is telling him a solid game plan of spamming air and then killing the enemy with GCs. In fact, the GCs are already advancing. They are coming. Unfortunately, yeah, they will be met with a whole host of not only gunships but also fighters. So Theodore has finally resumed his fighter production and is now engaging. It looks like, I think Theodore should win this because he has more fighters in the area. If we switch to a more cinematic view like this, we can see that, yes indeed, all the Aeon Coronas are falling off out of the sky. Another Salem being fried once again by the GC, not a very pleasant way to go. The GCs are getting ever closer. They are being met with a few more Salem, as well as I'm pretty sure this guy has some T2 artillery somewhere. No, it's just a whole bunch of Cerberus turrets. My god, that's a lot of Cerberus turrets if we can switch to his perspective. 14. Well, no, that won't stop 2 GCs. But this Monkey Lord might. We'll see though. Okay, the first GC is about to go down. Well, yeah, of course, you know, all of these things, but the T2 gunships, T3 gunships, and Cerberus turrets, they'll deal chip damage to the GCs, but when there are so many of them working together, they can even take down 2. And there you go. 2 GCs being generously donated from Ronfante to Theodore in order to, even the scales, I guess. They were attempting to destroy the Monkey Lord, but no, they failed. And now it looks like the Monkey Lord will be finished by the hives. They are reclaiming the GCs, of course. Yeah, he is doing a fairly good job at balancing his reclaim and construction. You can see that he's not overflowing, but he's also not stalling mass. So that's a great balance to have. Okay, of course, you know, the hives were lying when they said they were 46% done with the Monkey Lord, because the Monkey Lord is already up and is already moving. I wonder where it's moving. I sure hope it isn't moving against the base of Ronfante, because, you know, there's no way one Monkey Lord can destroy all this, especially when there is already an almost complete GC. Well, yeah, I was mostly referring to the GC, actually, because, you know, if there was no GC, the Monkey Lord could easily clear all of this, but, yeah. With so much build rate and a GC and a T3 air factory, I am sure the Monkey Lord will be stopped with no problem whatsoever. It should also be noted that Ronfante is resuming his favorite strategy of building more and more T1 spam. But this time he's built it quite out of the way. Yeah, Theodore isn't even aware that that exists, because he still doesn't have an Omni sensor array, so yeah, no sense of danger whatsoever coming from this massive swarm of factories, because they are completely invisible right now. The scouts are flying overhead, but they are flying towards the main base, not trying to scout everything else, even though, you know, there's still this massive hole in both the eastern and western sides of the map. Okay, there you go. Yeah, okay, so now there's a whole swarm of T2 gunships as well as T3 gunships, which should put a stop to the factories. Unless of course the fighters fly in. If at this point Ronfante has more fighters than Theodore does, then he could potentially just destroy Theodore's entire air force right here, but it looks like KillerGruetze is telling him to not waste air, which means, yeah, I guess that just means that he has fewer. But oh no, that's a bit of a mistake. Yep, they are flying over cruisers, which Aeon cruisers are pretty good with their anti-air, because, you know, they don't actually have anything besides anti-air. They do have tactical missile defense, but they have no surface cannons, or they have like the crappiest surface cannons ever, and no tactical missiles, so yeah. They are more heavily specialized, and as a result, I'm pretty sure they should have better anti-air than other cruisers, at least in terms of DPS. Of course, you know, Seraphim cruisers are still the best of the four against swarms of gunships and torpedo bombers, but, you know, Aeon cruisers should be really good against T3 here. In fact, probably the best. It looks like, yeah, well, Theodore's commander has been hiding underwater at the same time, all this time. T3 and AA, T3 land AA would be nice, but then GC will go through. Oh yeah. If you can stop these gunships, then there will be basically no consequences for the GC just walking in and destroying everything. Yeah, there was a small group of engineers being sent by Ronfante in order to hopefully reclaim the former base of KillerGruetze, but no. That was shut down by the gunships, as has everything else so far. So it looks like in terms of map control, Theodore has more map, I dare say, but for some reason he is still behind on mass income. It might be because Ronfante has already built up his... yeah, he's already building some support commanders. That's not a RASCOM. Oh, that's an engineer com. Okay, so he is building support commanders with an engineering preset. Interesting. Okay, we'll get back to the economy in a moment, as the Monkey Lord of Theodore has finally reached the base, but looks like it's not doing anything, because it's just gonna get, yeah, like I said, it's just gonna get fried by the GC. Accomplished precisely nothing, destroyed one T2 mass extractor, and it looks like in terms of the air fight, it's not entirely clear for the moment. You can see both Cybran and Aeon fighters dropping, but I think the Cybran fighters have run out, so now the gunships are just free targets for these Coronas. They are still going somewhere. I feel like he's trying to find the enemy's commander and end the game right here and now, or potentially destroy the headquarters, which would be devastating, but it looks like he wasn't focusing too well, so yeah, he didn't destroy the headquarters or the commander or anything else of value. No generators, no anything. Well, that was a great big shame, because now his air force is gone, And now Ronfante has secured air superiority completely. He's even chasing down the remaining gunships of Theodore, and of course having no problem whatsoever destroying them now, as there are no fighters left to oppose this fighting force. And look at the Ronfante. he is still not abandoning this project. Yep, he's still not abandoning this building project. He is actually doubling down, trying to use even more engineers to build that. In terms of resources, he still has 4,000 mass in the bank. He's still constructing another galactic colossus, right? Yeah, he was. Only one GC up for now, so you should probably wait for more GCs as well as... Oh, look at this massive swarm. Yep, of course. When Ronfante needs to deal with a problem, he just presents massive swarms of solutions rather than one big solution at a time. Look at this. 24 flak cannons already operational, and more will join them very soon, as there is now a row of T2 factories, land factories producing just that. They are literally only producing the flak cannon. Never mind. As I said that, you just added a whole bunch of obsidian tanks and asylums and all that cool stuff. So I guess once again I am lying to your face. How generous of me, or well, no, generous is not the right word, but at least we can witness the last remaining T3 gunships of Theodore being destroyed by the Coronas. Come on, destroy him. Yeah, some of these Geminis flying in trying to intercept, but there are clearly not enough Geminis, and you know, they still retreat mostly unharmed. The Coronas do, I mean. And here you go, the GC, which is almost already a 1-star veteran because it destroyed, you know, participated in destroying the Monkey Lord, is already reaching the middle of the map, and in fact it's walking past the middle already. For some reason, interesting. So for some reason, Ronfante decided to build a whole bunch of Exodus class destroyers on the water, which I wonder if those ever fired a single shot. Well, yes, I guess they have, because they do have some kills on them. This one is an almost 1-star veteran, this one is nothing, but I guess they were being used for something. One Monkey Lord complete for Theodore. Hopefully he doesn't just throw that away like he threw his first Monkey Lord. Fingers crossed, you know. He has completely stopped his naval production, which I guess it kind of makes sense, because you know the Salems are no good against GCs, as we've witnessed aplenty throughout this game. He's also built, yeah, like I said before, he's only built that now, I think, a bunch of T2 artillery installations in order to protect from long-range bombardment by, you know, enemy artillery, for example. And now is just chilling, trying to build up the second Monkey Lord. There you go. Monkey Lord done. In the meantime, yep, all of the T1 factories are of course producing artillery en masse. And now there's one shocker bomber out of Ronfante, which is being followed by his entire host of fighters. Interesting. So I guess this bomber has a very special mission, and that mission is to destroy the enemy mass extractors, of course. You know, these two outlying T3 mass extractors, which Theodore cannot protect in any way, shape or form, will now finally fall thanks to this one shocker bomber. It will take a while, of course, because, you know, T3 bombers, they don't destroy those T3 mass extractors too quickly, but it will happen eventually. Of course, scouts being sent every which way, except Scout Com probably in the water. Yes, indeed it is. It's actually a very interesting, you know, thing to note that since Ronfante still has access to Aeon technology, he could potentially build some T3 torpedo bombers, and just, you know, if he does find the enemy commander in the water, he could extremely easily destroy it with those T3 torpedo bombers. Could end the game right now with just like 3 of them. And I don't think Theodore would be able to do much about it. Okay, he is flying out. Yeah, more strategic bombers now being sent against these mass extractors, which have almost been destroyed already. A transport being sent, yes, to reclaim the former base of Adamis. Plenty of reclaim on that, of course. 27,000 to be exact. Yeah, you definitely want some of that. The problem is those engineers will get destroyed by a single bomb, which is flying right now. Boom, there you go. Well then. What are we waiting for? You might ask. Well, I'm pretty sure the players are just waiting to build up their armies before they can clash again. if we take a look at Ronfante's air force or land force, we can see he's got himself over 100 artillery, mobile artillery units already. How much time has he spent building that up? Like 5 minutes? 2 minutes? I'm not entirely sure. You'll have to tell me in the comments below. Yeah, he's now building plenty of those support commanders. Oh yeah, Theodor's mass production is completely in the rear end of the game at this point at just 75 per second. That looks extremely pitiful. He's still— oh my goodness, what is this? What is this? There is still a T1 mass extractor in his main base. What do you mean? All of the underwater extractors are of course still T2. Well, they are also T2 for Ronfante, but I'm pretty sure you could have upgraded them to T3 by this point, because like, what else do you do with them, you know? They aren't being threatened by anything, and even if you try to send some like bombers against that, you can protect that with cruisers. So, in my opinion, you should definitely upgrade these underwater extractors to T3. But in this position, it's not super efficient because, you know, you can't add storage units to them, so they won't have the highest possible output. But still, you know, it's you're at a basically 5 times disadvantage against your enemy. You gotta do something about that. Okay, 5 times might be an exaggeration. 3 times, yeah. Ronfante is producing more than 3 times as much mass per second as Theodor, and it's not looking very good right now, let me tell you. Look at all these artillery guns, oh my god. Some of them just got stuck near the factories. They aren't even coming out, they aren't even rolling towards the front line. The second Colossus is approaching, and with so many flak cannons, at this point, even if Theodor did have those gunships, I don't think they would have survived against so many flak cannons. That does not look good for him at all. He has completed a stealth upgrade, so he can now be stealthy. And some of the... yeah, I think that means that any flying unit, any scout without a sonar can no longer spot this commander, or even maybe with a sonar. Of course, T3 spy planes can still spot that because they've got an Omni sensor on board, but they won't see that it's a commander still. You know, they will just see a weird gray, what is it? A weird gray semicircle, I guess. Of course, to Theodor's credit, he still seems to be sending out some engineers every which way in order to reclaim, but the problem is, though, those are being consistently chased down by the opposing fighters and shot, destroyed before they can accomplish anything. This was a really bad angle to land. Oh, they landed. Alright, cool. The transport won't make it, but the engineers will. Might actually be able to accomplish something this time. Even though loses 1 fighter in the process, not that it matters, but it's nice. You gotta take them small wins wherever you can. Alright, what's this? Oh, it's a T2 artillery wreckage. Yeah, that'll give you some nice mass. Actually, in terms of reclaim, they are doing, you know, relatively evenly in terms of reclaim. You can see 61,000 mass versus 57,000, so not too bad there for Theodor, but the total mass accrued difference is just ever growing. 487,000 versus 369, and there you go. There's the big push. It's coming in. The Colossi are actually destroying the Monkey Lords from a distance without the Monkey Lords being able to answer at all. Oh my goodness, look at this. Monkey Lord, basically the first Monkey Lord almost falls even before it can start firing its laser. Oh no, that is very much not good. Look at this. The Colossi are walking up. This is definitely going to be part of my video thumbnail. Those 2 Colossi, and yeah, of course the 1 Monkey Lord stands no chance against the 2 of them. And the Megalith that is almost finished for Ronfante, for Theodor, is now being completely destroyed without actually getting up. I'm not entirely sure if it can even get completed. Come on, do it, finish it. Good, look at this, so much artillery, good lord, and the Tsar as well, to top it off, flying outwards in order to finish this base completely. Oh no. Yeah, the Megalith is about to get up here. It finally gets up and immediately gets fried by the death beam of the side. Oh no. Oh my goodness me. No amount of Cerberus turrets were able to stop this much T1 artillery. And now it looks like Theodor loses his last base. And what is he to do now? Well, Control K, of course. Well, there you go. That's the game right there. You know, we've witnessed a little bit of Joe-ness there. for this particular game. I say Jonas like Joe-ness, you know, like these people might clearly be Joes. Okay, clearly might be is a weird expression, but you get what I mean, right? So, yes indeed, there were definitely some Joes in this game, but ultimately, you know, they were able to succeed. Very much so. Or at least one of them was. The last man standing, Ronfante, congratulations to him, as well as Dalamaster, EchoChamber, and KillerGruetze for winning this game without even using those 3 strat bombers. Nice. And yep, this was the game. If you enjoyed this commentary and this match, and if you want to see more, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and maybe leave a comment down below. This is going to be it for me for today, so thank you so much for watching, goodbye, take care everybody, and I hope to see you soon again on the battlefields of the future.